Hello and good day, Welcome to the Super Good Camping Podcast. My name is Pamela.
I'm Tim.
We are here. We are from supergoodcamping.com. We are here because we are on a mission to inspire other people to enjoy outdoor adventures such as we have with our family. Today's guest is Woody Ellis. He's currently hiking his way across North America for mental health awareness and to raise funds for mental health charities. Please welcome Woody Ellis. Hello, welcome to the podcast.
Hello. Thank you so much for having me.
Hello,
Hi.
hello.
Glad to have you. Thanks for making the time.
For sure.
Yeah. So you know what? Why don't you give us a bit of background about what it is you're doing and what you hope how you got into it? I suppose what prompted this.
Sure. So in about 2000, I've always been kind of a dreamer, explorer, um, inspired to live a unique type of lifestyle. I really hate the 9 to 5 corporate, regular old lifestyle. And so in about 2016, I started solo traveling around the world. I took a train. I was living in Chicago at the time, and I took a 60-hour train ride from Chicago to Vancouver, and got my cold water and open water scuba diving certification. And I volunteered and lived on a floating wharf that was a scuba diving resort. And and I didn't have power or Wi-Fi or anything, which was what I was looking for. It was an uninhabited island. It's just north of Vancouver Island. It's called Nagi Island. And yeah, I lived there for a couple of months, and that was like the beginning of my solo traveling. And from there, I jumped around. Basically, when I travel, I kind of just jump around into what's near and what's much more affordable. So from there, it was a flight to Hawaii. From Hawaii, it was a flight to Tokyo. And then from Tokyo to Taiwan and China and Thailand, and kind of just bouncing around from place to place. And it's just so much more doable than, going across the world from like here to Australia or something like that. You can kind of just make your way there by taking one flight at a time. So that's kind of how I travel. And I've been doing those types of trips on and off since 2016. And every time I leave, I always feel kind of guilty because the last trip I took, for example, was 3 years long or almost 3 years long. And I have a huge family and a lot of loved ones that I'm close with. And I always feel a little guilty when I leave just because it feels a little selfish because I'm doing it for my own fulfillment and to follow my own passions. And I just leave behind my family and everything. So this time when I got the itch to go again, I was trying to think of a way to kind of give back and help my family and friends with some. So over the course of the last couple of years, there's been a lot of illnesses, mental health related illnesses in my family and my close circle. And like the older I get, and the older everyone gets, you obviously start to see more struggles and ailments and stuff in your circles. And so this time I wanted to think of a way to kind of help while still also fulfilling my dreams and passions. And so that's kind of where the concept came from. There's some people that have done similar things, like Mike Posner. I'm not sure if you guys know. He's a R&B pop star kind of, and he hiked directly across the country from New York to California, I believe. So that was a big inspiration of mine. I don't know if he did it for charity, but he went on to climb Everest, and it was this like turning point in his life, and it was just really inspiring. And there's been other people. I'm a big fan of Anthony Bourdain. He doesn't hike so much, but I really love how he gets involved with locals and cultures and sharing meals with people and hearing people's stories and stuff. So that's a big inspiration for me. And that's what I do around the places that I'm traveling. For example, I'm staying at a stranger's cabin right now. And when I arrived, she had a care package for me. She made me a drink. We sat and talked for a while, and found out she said she was so inspired by all the places I traveled, but then she said she went to Antarctica for 4 different tours, which equates to about 2 years, give or take. And as an electrician, which is like a huge dream of mine to work in Antarctica. I actually applied for a job there in a little shop just to be a little shopkeeper. And I haven't heard back yet, but I just found it really cool that I was so inspired by her because she did something I want to do, and she's inspired by me, because it's funny how it's all perspective, and relative to your own life. But yeah, anyway, so that's sort of where the idea came from. I just always felt really guilty from traveling, and I just wanted to give back. So I found some charitable organizations that deal with mental illness and mental health awareness, and ranging from schizophrenia to dementia to depression to suicide prevention, all things that hit very close to home in my family. So that's the reason I picked these organizations that I'm hiking for. They've all been vetted very thoroughly through a website called charitynavigator.org. They basically investigate charitable organizations, and they give them a rating based on their financial transparency, their effectiveness and efficiency, their corporate structure, and all that. And these organizations have been given the highest ratings from that site. So between them being causes that I'm closely connected to and them being great charities, that's why I picked them.
Excellent. That's fabulous. You just wiped three of my questions out.
Sorry,
No.
I rant, and I go off a little bit sometimes.
That's all good, man. So if I'm not mistaken, you have a goal of 2,000 plus miles.
Yeah, my initial goal is 2,000 miles. That's just what I wanted to commit to. I know that's doable because a lot of the major through hikes like the Appalachian Trail and the Pacific Crest Trail and the North Country Trail are all around 2,000 miles, give or take a few hundred miles. And I have friends that do them consistently year after year. And so I figured if they can do them, I can force myself to do at least 2,000 miles. And I just, didn't want to let anyone down, including myself. Didn't want to set anyone's expectations and disappoint anybody. So I went with 2,000 miles for now. But the reason I say plus is because I would like to continue. Eventually, maybe I take a break after 2,000 miles, but I would like to continue doing things like this for different types of charities too. I'm a really big animal lover, and I would eventually like to have a sanctuary with a bunch of animals on it, rescued animals. So maybe this can eventually lead into that. But yeah, 2,000 miles is the initial goal for now.
Okay, cool. Where is 2,000 miles from where to where? I know you started in Michigan.
Yep. I'm from Lansing, Michigan, born and raised. I lived in Chicago for about 10 years, but I've been going to the Upper Peninsula my whole life. That's just what people do in Michigan. You go up north, you cross the Mackinac Bridge, and it's always a big event, especially when you're younger. You see the massive bridge, and that bridge holds a special place in my heart. And so I was thinking of good ways to start the trip, and I was going to actually hike from Lansing to the bridge and then walk across the bridge, but you can only do it one day a year, walk across the Mackinac Bridge. And so I saw that the date was Labor Day, September 2nd. And just because of timing with my full-time job, and I had one last obligation at the end of August, so I couldn't hike from Lansing to Mackinac City in time to do the bridge walk. So I went to Mackinac City and camped with some family and friends, and then we did the bridge walk together. And then I got stranded in St. Ignace because so yeah, basically from Mackinac City is one end, the lower peninsula starting point of the bridge, and the ending point on the upper peninsula is St. Ignace. And I was only able to do that because we dropped a car off with my major luggage in it in St. Ignace the day before, and then drove back over, and we were able to walk with, limited amount of stuff we had to carry. But the only reason I am able to do such a long trek and to do this project is because I am I'm getting a walking cargo trailer because I attempted a similar hike like this when I was in Turkey a few years ago. There's a trail called the Lyson Way, and it usually takes people about a month. And I just had like everything you could imagine in my backpack, like drone and camera equipment and studio equipment and who knows what else. And I just couldn't carry it. I only made it about a week, and I injured my back and my hips. And so I had to get off the trail. So then when I wanted to do something again, I basically typed in walking trailer because I was thinking of those bike trailers that people carry.
Right.
I was like, there's got to be something like this for walking. And there's really not much. I think pretty much this is the only company that makes them. There might be one other one that's like Amazon brand that, probably not very trustworthy. And this company is called Hipstar, and they're incredible. It's like a mom and pop it's a mom and pop shop. It's a husband and wife. And they design these things themselves, and they're really high quality, and they have spoked wheels and a braking system. And so anyways, that got lost in the mail. And so I'm in St. Ignace. It's still lost in the mail, but the owner had one in Minnesota that he sent priority through FedEx, and that arrives on Monday. And then I'm going to practice using the trailer. And then Sunday, I'm going to continue hiking to the north side of the UP where the North Country Trail goes through. And then I'm going to hike on the North Country Trail a little bit along the shore of the northern side of the UP, west through the UP. Then I'm going to go back down through the UP into Escanaba and Marquette because I have friends in Marquette, and I have a stranger that is hosting me in Escanaba, because that's one of the links on my site is that you can host. If you know I'm coming ahead of time, you can reach out to me and offer maybe a couple trees for me to hang my hammock or whatever it might be, maybe share a meal. So I wanted to cut over to Escanaba, cut back through the UP to Escanaba and Marquette, and then I'm going to go through Green Bay, Milwaukee, Chicago. And that's pretty much like the certain route that I'm taking. And then from there, I want to go south through St. Louis and maybe Louisville, Nashville, Memphis. And I'm going to eventually make my way to New Orleans and then head west from there. I was initially going to continue west from the UP all the way through some of Canada and then to the West Coast. But I started considering things like weather and population density and how many people I'll be able to reach going that way versus going south through the major cities. Grizzly bears were another consideration that I didn't think about over there in the Pacific Northwest and stuff. So yeah, I'm gonna go through Chicago. I lived in Chicago for 10 years. So I'm hoping to maybe put together a fundraiser for these organizations there where I have a big network. And yeah, then from Chicago, I'm thinking probably St. Louis from there, but that's a big theme of this adventure for me is I want to stay open to going any direction at any given point, really. Because if, let's say there's an opportunity somewhere where I can interact with strangers and do something really cool and have a great experience with some strangers, I want to be open to saying yes. I don't want to have to say, no, I have to go this route. I have to leave at this time. So I'm going to be open to staying places multiple nights and going in any direction at any given time, really. But yeah, roughly from the UP, I'm going to head south.
Cool. So you mentioned a full-time job. How did you get all this time off work?
Well, my full-time job was in IT, a remote IT technician. So, and I've been working with this company for, I hate that I can actually say it's been, I think it might be over 20 years now.
Wow.
Or maybe more like 15. I've been in IT for over 20 years, which is sad that I'm able to say that. But not because I don't like IT, just because it means I'm old. But
No, let me tell you about being old.
Yeah, it's all relative, right? So yeah, I was remote for the last 10 years of that IT job. I was remote, 100% remote. So during my travels, while I was doing the IT, I made my own schedule, and I could every job I did was remote. So because we only had one client, they were a huge client in Chicago, and it took up all our time. But because we only had one client, and I had a relationship with all the different offices that we maintained, it was very easy to work strictly remotely. And yeah, I saved some money, and I'm now done doing that. And now it's committed 100% to this. So that's a big reason why it's kind of a fundraiser, and people can donate to me, and people can donate. They can choose basically to me, to the project, or directly to the charities, which I have featured on my website. But yeah, that's how I got the free time. I quit.
Oh, well, so tell us about hammock camping.
Oh, so yeah, I mentioned that I'm in the cabin right now. I that's another thing I'm going to be open to. This cabin was donated to me for a night, and a motel was donated a couple of nights for me to stay in for the next 2 nights. I'm going to be open to where I stay and what my accommodations are too. But for the most part, probably I'd say 80% of the time I'm going to be camping in my hammock. Um, it's not a normal hammock. It's super weird. It strings up widthwise, and you lay in it perpendicular. Is that the word?
Yep.
You lay perpendicular to the straps, whereas in a normal hammock you lay lengthwise with the straps. So because of the design, and because they force you to buy a very expensive sleeping pad that inserts into the hammock. There's a slip basically. You insert the sleeping pad, you zip it up, which serves two purposes. One, the pad doesn't move around a lot, which is kind of a pain in the butt when you're sleeping in a tent with a sleeping pad, or especially in a normal hammock with a sleeping pad. It's a constant struggle being on the pad. So yeah, it keeps it in place, but B, the way the hammock is strapped up widthwise, and the way the pad is in there lengthwise, and the pad is also built in a way that works with the design. It basically lays flat, so it's a flat laying hammock, which is just kind of game changing, because in a normal hammock you're kind of limited on how many positions you can get comfortable in, and that gets very taxing on the body after multiple nights in a row. So I got this hammock, and then you have so many other things to go with. It has a bug net attached, which is super nice. You don't touch the bug net at all when you're in the hammock, which is huge. It has a rain fly that either can come with it, or you can get your own rain fly, which I have my own massive rain fly, just so I can be extra sure I'm not going to get wet. I have an under quilt, which isn't really for this type of hammock, but I've fashioned it in a way that it can work. So that just the sleeping pad inside the hammock is insulated, and then the under quilt goes under the hammock, which gives you some more insulation from the wind and stuff that can kind of seep through the hammock. And then I have my sleeping bag and an extra blanket if I need to go on top of that, and my camping pillow, which is an inflatable pillow. And I think that's all the gear in terms of the hammock camping and sleeping in the hammock. But it's quite a bit of gear. It's very cozy. Obviously, I'm going to be camping in winter weather, not necessarily snowy weather because I'm going south, but still going to get very cold. But I'm very prepared to sleep comfortably every night. It's a lot more gear than people think. It's a lot more of a rig than people think when they hear hammock camping. But yeah, totally comfortable and warm in any weather for the most part.
Well, yeah, if you're going to spend that much time in it, for sure, you'd want
Yeah,
to have like the bomb, right?
for sure.
And I can also see just the number of pieces you're talking about there.
Oh yeah,
Now I get why you've got the walking trailer, right?
yeah, exactly.
Cool. All right. Well, so how can people give us all your social media stuff so that people can get to the website and do the donations, or hook up with you to give you a night in a cabin or whatever, right?
Yeah, yeah. So the website is woodywalks.com. And the hashtag is hashtag Woody Walks. Like you can see here, this green ribbon, it represents mental health awareness. And I flipped it upside down to make it the Y in Woody Walks. Just because sometimes people can't tell that's a Y. So I wanted to preface it with the hat. But yeah, the website's woodywalks.com, and on there, all the different ways you can support or join the cause or follow along are on there. All my socials are on there. And the different ways you can support is you can donate directly to the charities, which I got my first 2 donations to the National Alliance on Mental Illness, which is one of the charities I'm working with. So I'm very excited about that. So yeah, you can donate directly to the charities, and they each of the charities I'm working with gave me my own URL. So basically, I have a goal of $1,000 for each charity for now. I'm assuming, and I'm pretty confident that once we hit those goals, I'll be able to raise it a little significantly. But I just wanted kind of a lower end number to start at, again, because I didn't want to be disappointed and not reach the goals. So each charity has $1,000 goal, and the URLs that they gave me, I have on the website. So when you click it and donate through my URL, it keeps track of my goals, and automatically, it's like the thermometer goal thing where it fills up and shows you how far along you are on your goal. Each site has something like that, so you can see how close I am to the goal on each charity. And then you can also donate directly to me and the project, which helps with my expenses that I'm incurring along the way and maintaining, website subscription fees and software subscription fees and all the hard. I carry, like we were saying, with all the camping gear. I'm also traveling with a lot of camera gear and studio equipment, and that all takes maintenance and upgrading and things like that, and eating all the survival and the camping gear. I'm gonna have to get a bunch of different gear for the winter if it gets if it actually gets too cold, or I'm gonna have to maybe upgrade some of my gear, like my sleeping pad. My sleeping bag, for example, is only 2-season sleeping bag, so might need to upgrade that, but things like that I incur along the way. And then there's another way you can support is by hosting me. If you're somewhere near the route that I'm on, it doesn't even have to be directly on the route, or even if you're far away and I might eventually get to you, you can reach out and offer to host, maybe, like I was saying, a couple trees to hammock camp in, or maybe a farm. Maybe I can come help on the farm for a couple days, or maybe if you own a store or something, I can do a couple shifts just because I'm in exchange for a place to stay potentially, or maybe in exchange for a meal, or maybe I can cook a meal or share a meal with strangers. I basically want to manifest these connections with strangers and share experiences, share hugs, share laughter, share smiles, share tears. I think that's a big part of the whole adventure is connecting with people and with strangers that you wouldn't otherwise have met in everyday 9-to-5 life where you see the same people every day. I find that to be incredibly fulfilling and healing too. And I think being mental health project, a lot of people feel alone out there. And I think it's really cool to show people that they're not alone, and maybe you're experiencing a lot of the things that they're struggling with, and even just knowing that helps a lot, no matter the ailment you might be dealing with. So yeah, hosting is one way people can support, and then people can join me too if they would like for stretches of the walk. It could be for a few days, it could be for a week, it could be for a month. I really like the idea of doing kind of like campfire podcast style interviews. Hence why I brought my studio mic, and of course forgot a big part of the mic that I need that I'm going to have my sister send me. But yeah, so when people are joining me, and like I said, it could be for as long as they can get away with, we're going to feature and focus on the charity of their choice. So during the time that anyone's with me, we're going to take down my charities and just put their charity on the website and set a goal for them, you know, depending on how long they're with me and stuff. And I think that's a good way to feature some charities that otherwise maybe wouldn't get as much attention, or certainly that wouldn't get as much attention in this project. And I can learn about some other charities and causes out there that I wasn't aware of. And also I'm looking for brand sponsorships, where I'll have an official brand sponsor. I have some brands that are awesome, like the Walking Trailer Company gave me a huge discount. And I have Harvest Hosts. Are you guys familiar with Harvest Hosts? They're like the Airbnb of RV campgrounds.
Okay.
So you can you sign up for a subscription, and then you can rent, once you sign up for the subscription, you can camp at all these sites that are in their database for free after you pay the subscription cost, of course. And so Harvest Host donated a lifetime membership to the cause that I'm going to raffle off, and 100% of those proceeds for the raffle will go to the charity of the person who won the raffle. The charity that I'm one of the 6 charities I'm working with, whichever one they choose, 100% of the raffle proceeds will go to that.
Cool.
And then I on my walking trailer, and so I'm doing a lot of press and podcast interviews, and so in exchange for a sponsorship, I'll be able to mention them as an official sponsor, get them exposure across the country in these podcasts and news interviews I'm doing. And I'm going to also have some signage on my walking trailer, and I'll feature, you know, the top couple sponsors on the signage, so they'll get some exposure there. And I'll have QR codes and things like that on the signage, so people that are passing by can kind of see what's going on. And yeah, so that's kind of how the brand sponsorship concept works. And there's some, and then I also have some shirts that I designed that are on there as well. And those proceeds go to the project itself, and that will help me sustain. And those are all print on demand, so I don't have to carry any of them with me. And it's a really fast company too. It's like a week turnaround time, which is pretty fast when it comes to print on demand. And the shirts are really high quality, premium, and the print is really nice. So people have been pretty satisfied, or really satisfied with the shirts so far. And there was one more thing I was going to mention, and I can't remember what it is, but yeah, it's all on the site there, woodywalks.com, and people can pretty much choose how they want to contribute or join or support. Oh yeah, the newsletter. That's kind of the easiest, and it's free, and it's really, really helpful for me, for people to just subscribe to the newsletter on the website. That's where I'll be sending updates, and that's where I'll be posting when I add new content to my social channels and stuff. So through the newsletter, they'll have direct access to all my social channels. I'm on Instagram and YouTube and Facebook and TikTok. Those are the 4. Yep. Yeah, those are the 4 that I kind of focus on. I found Twitter is, for some reason, I can't ever get any interaction or engagement on Twitter, so I just gave up on Twitter. So yeah, and then like I said, those social links are all on my website as well. They're on every page of my website at the bottom. So and they're big logos for the site, and so people can easily find them and follow along there as well.
Cool. And we'll put them in our description, you know, on YouTube and in the podcast description. We'll put all the links in there for it as well.
Cool.
Oh, and your thought about Twitter. Yeah, I totally get where you're coming from there.
Yeah,
but Threads
I don't understand
on Instagram, it's similar idea, but way less toxic, like much nicer. And
yeah, I keep seeing
engagement actually
Threads.
happens.
Oh, nice. I'll consider that for sure. they definitely are trying to get me to and everyone to interact with that because they kind of sneak it in your feed there,
They do.
and
They
then
do.
you click it and you're like, wait a minute, what's this Threads thing? But
But you know what? So for me, this is veering off, but because I'm a lunatic for backcountry camping and all things outdoors, it's really easy to tailor so that that's what I get to see.
nice,
For because that's what I'm interested in. There's
yeah,
political stuff as well, but I really want to be in that sort of communication thread of people that are jumping in a canoe and going away for a week or a month or whatever. So
certainly, yeah, that's huge because those feeds can get pretty cluttered with a bunch of stuff you don't care about.
yep, they certainly can.
That's it for us for today. Thank you so much to our guest, Woody Ellis. And please do check him out on woodywalks.com, the Woody Walks Project on Instagram, the only Woody Wood on Facebook, at Woody Walks on YouTube, and at Woody Walks Project on TikTok. And please do check us out on all of the social media. We're there too. And we'll talk to you again soon. Bye.
Bye.